Good morning, traders. It is Friday, June 2nd. We're about an hour into trading. Let's take a look at our last two picks, see how they fared, do some market analysis, and then let's find two new picks. That's how all these videos go. I want to prove to you that this systematic trading approach works. We're looking for relative strength and relative weakness. WDAY was a stock that I highlighted Monday. Monday was a holiday, so the market was closed. So you could have come in and traded this anytime, Tuesday or later. We're focusing on day trading. I still feel that keeping a short-term market perspective is the way to go. You can do some swing trades that span maybe a couple of days or so, but it's important to find the very best stocks. These are our automated trend lines. I'm going to zoom out so we can see where they come into play. And you can see that these are some significant price points on WDAY. This trend line in particular was breached to the upside. This was also a very significant trend line here. Earnings after the close, that's what the A signifies. And we get that earnings breakout and the gap holds. Big volume. I still like this stock. If you're a longer term swing trader and you're looking for a good bullish put spread, selling one right in that gap at about 205 on the notion that that gap is going to hold, I think makes sense. 205, 200 bullish put spread for a dollar credit. I like it. I think that's going to work out well. And you can see how the stock pulled back just a little bit this week on Tuesday. And there's your pullback after that nice gap up. And profit takers are going to come in and see if the stock is able to hold up. And then as soon as that low was put in, we've had some decent price action. ABBV. That was my short of the week. And you can see the video came out here. That was a nasty down day that we had yesterday. So with a market rally, you're seeing a stock that does this. Yes, ABBV was a really nice short. So let's take a look at the market. Let's see what's happening, and then let's find at least one pick today. I'm going to be focusing on the long side because I like this market breakout. We're going to zoom out, and I'm also going to show you a new feature that we added, our alert feature. You'll also notice that there are lots of dots here in our search tables. We're able to add a number of different variables to allow us to visually see how a stock is performing across multiple time frames without having to flip different charts or have 10 charts on our screen. We can just look at this and go, hey, that's bullish. Look at all the green right there. Good volume. So we'll discuss that just a little bit as well. Market is breaking out through major horizontal resistance. So we'll zoom out a little bit here, take a look at the S&P. That is a significant trend line. There's another trend line that comes into play there. We have a high plus trend line here that we're breaking through. This is a clean breakout. Now, the one thing that has been missing earlier this year is we got much of this early rally in here on very, very light volume. So this is not concerning. It's not bearish. It's just not bullish because that tells us that this is a very low level of conviction. But look, over the course of the last few weeks, you can see how the volume has been pretty decent and the market has started floating up towards that resistance level. We could see that even better when we start to zoom in. Blue line above zero, better than average. Nice clean breakout. So what's got everybody so excited today anyway? Well, we had the jobs report came in very, very bullish. 339,000 new jobs created during the month of May. That was excellent, better than the 210,000 that was expected. Initial jobless claims yesterday was 239,000. That was better than expected. So we have not seen any fall off in employment, and that's important. That tells us that the economy is still on solid footing. ADP came out yesterday. Also, more job growth in the private sector during the month of May than expected. So this is good. This is telling us that the economy is still fairly resilient and fairly strong, even with all the Fed rate hikes. The one issue, good news is bad news, is that this gives the Fed more room to hike rates in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks actually. That's when the next FOMC statement comes out. And the CPI is going to be coming out the day before the FOMC statement. It has been running hot, very hot. In fact, it's still at 5%. And the Fed wants to see 2% inflation growth. And what's important to remember as well is that inflation's been hot for well over a year. So this is the rate of change in prices. And it's unusual for prices to spike and then still be able to maintain that rate of change. So there is no way that prices are even remotely starting to pause or come down. Jamie Dimon last week said that banks should be preparing for another 1% to 1.5% higher rates. And he feels that a lot of them could be on the ropes, especially after what we saw with FDC and SIVB. So that is going to be a pretty stiff headwind for the market. We also have China, sluggish growth there, not seeing the reopening that we had expected. If you take the GDP for the United States and China and you add them together, they comprise 43% of the world's GDP. Let's pause and think about that for a second. The US and China account for almost half of the world's GDP. So if you're trying to gauge economic growth on a global basis, you just need to look at those two major puzzle pieces. One of them, China, is struggling a bit. So that is going to be a stiff headwind also. They're not getting the pop from the COVID reopening. So that's going to be a drag. Perhaps they've overproduced for the last 30 years. Hypergrowth leads to excess. There could be some credit issues there as well. Not going to worry about that long term right now. I just know that it's a headwind and I'm recognizing it as such. Valuations, S&P 500, forward PE 18, QQQ 28. Those are lofty numbers. Stocks are not cheap right now. So we've got opposing forces. We get this nice gap up today. In fact, last night we had overseas markets up on average between 1 and 1.5%. Really nice, strong tailwind. And much of that, I'm sure, is because of the debt ceiling getting raised and passing through the Senate. So that news was out last night. So that's a nice backdrop for us. This is a 5-minute chart. And you can see how we had this nice first candle that's long and green. Oh, this is bullish speculators coming in. Oh, we have a major breakout on the SPY. Bye, 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 bye. Then, uh-oh, now they get this nice sell-off, and they're thinking, especially when we take out the opening price, oh no, is this going to be a gap reversal? I'm fairly bullish today. I think that any kind of drop in here is going to be very sluggish, and we're already seeing that. You can see how there's major retracement. So these guys come in, they get flushed right out, and now the market is testing this low of the day. It is forming support while we have a bearish 1OP cycle running. So when this cycle runs, we want to see this open preserved. We want to see this gap preserved. As I told members this morning, I feel that at worst, we're going to check the high from yesterday, but not fill the gap in completely. That would be about as low as I think we get. I don't know that we'll even get there. The news was pretty decent. We need to have good volume today, and we started off on a good note here early, but now we're starting to falter, and you can see how the volume is starting to be fairly average. So what would I be looking for today, and how would I be approaching the day? Well, the first thing is that whenever we have a gap up to a new relative high, those have almost always been faded. So we have to be very, very careful of those gap reversals. Now, I feel that the news that we had today is going to prevent a major gap reversal, but there's still going to be the tendency to test the bid. So that means that when you get this gap higher and you get this breakout, you got overseas markets are up and the volume is decent, you got all these things working in your favor, you go through and you find the very strongest stocks. And then you start setting alerts. You set alerts because you know 1OP is on a bearish cross. Hey, I should be careful on the open. Bullish speculators could get flushed out. Let's Let's wait and see if we get a little bit of a market dip. Those super, super, super strong stocks that are opening gangbusters, they might have a little pause or a little drop. When they drop, I would like to know when they regain their footing and they start grinding higher. At the same time, if I start seeing the market do this, test the bid, test the open, it holds, we're not filling the gap, the threat of a gap reversal is lower, the 1OP bearish cycle is running. When the bearish cycle completes and we get a bullish cross, just like we did here yesterday, you can see that that bearish cycle did not produce a market sell-off. So this is a divergence that tells us compression, compression, compression on that bullish cross. We're going to see a nice breakout. Get a nice little bearish cross right here. Right here. Not here, not here, not here. 1OP is early. So it's predictive as well, which makes it very, very unique. So I like what I see here. I like the fact that the market's been able to hold the open, does a bid check, flushes out some bullish speculators, and now we're starting to inch back up. I'd like to see better volume. That is the one missing element. So let's get that 1OP bearish cycle to complete. Let's get that bullish cross. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of volume, but if we stay close to the high of the day during this bearish cycle, that is going to tell me that buyers are still there. How do I know that? How do I know that? Because the temptation at a new high, a new relative high, is going to be, oh, let's take profits. Sell, 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 sell. Drive that thing down. We've seen lots of bearish reversals, bearish gap reversals to a new relative high. So these guys come in and they give it everything they can to knock the market down and to take those gains. And what happens over time? Bye bye bye, bye bye bye, bye bye bye, bye bye bye. Buyers have shown their interest. And so sellers are not able to have their way. And as this bid continues to grow, now an hour, hour and a half into trading, hey, you know what? The conclusion is by traders, they couldn't smack the market down. Buyers have conviction. Market goes higher. Okay, so let's go in. Let's find some longs. I don't think I'm going to show you any shorts today because we got a nice market breakout. So let's just focus on the long side. Let's set some alerts. Let's see what we can find. I'm going to go into green royal flush, one of my favorite searches, and I'm going to go in. I do have an alert set on AZUL. Let's take a look at that. I really like that stock. So here's how an alert would work. I come in, I bring up the chart, and I think, gosh, this stock is beautiful. Got this nice breakout here, got this nice breakout here. We've got a gap higher here. Earnings there, very steady move higher. So what I'd like to have happen is I'd like that stock to pull back, and I'd like to get an alert when 10SI goes less than 0 and greater than 0. As that happens, I would like to see this opening price hold. And ideally, when that happens, the stock is right up on the high of the day and it hasn't even pulled back. That would be a sign that buyers are still aggressive because every attempt at selling that stock, buyers are there to meet that sell order. Buy, 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 buy. So you don't want the stock retracing a whole lot. You want it to preserve most of its gains. So let's put up 10SI, and I already have an alert set on this, and you'll be able to see the idea. So there's your early pop higher. I like Azul. I'm going to buy it right now. You don't have to do that. Buying dips is the way to go, especially when the price action is relatively choppy. So you want to get that dip. Now it's lost its relative strength, which this is going to be very hard to maintain because look at that big spike. It's super, super strong relative to the market because it's making a gigantic percentage increase. So that giant percentage increase is going to be very difficult to preserve, very difficult to maintain. So eventually on these super strong stocks, you're going to get this dip in 1OSI. When it regains its footing and it starts becoming strong relative to the SPY, I want that alert. And I will get one when that happens right now. So that's one of the alerts that we can set. And if I right click, I can show you all the alerts that we can set. We've got many different ones, and this is our first rollout. We plan to add so many variables. So first of all, right click, create alert. These are the alerts that I can create. I've got a drop down here. We can create an alert based on volume, LRSI, which I have a video on LRSI, how to trade it, what it shows, price. So if I have a particular price point in mind, I can do that. If I'm looking for a breakout through a major moving average, I can set it on that. I can set it on strength versus the SPY or on our buy and sell trading signals. So I can set it on any of those. So let's set it on trade signal. And let's say that the alert is on a trade signal buy on M5, which it probably is right now. So I'm going to add that. And since it's on a buy signal right now, I'd like that signal to go to a sell signal and then flip to a buy signal. That would be the type of dip that I'm looking for. So I'm going to click save. And now that alert is working and I will get a little pop-up window when that happens. Let's put up the buy and sell signals and then you can see where they come into play. And right now actually is probably way back in here, so I'm not seeing any right now. But in any event, that's how we would set those signals and those alerts using different variables. Ultimately, we're going to have a lot of different variables, dozens of them that you'll be able to set alerts on. Could be VWAP, could be a EMA 3.8 crossover. That is going to be coming probably in the next 2 months or so. So the alerts are really nice, and we can also right click on these columns and we can change our column headers, edit columns, and these are the selections that we can have. I'm generally looking on volume for M30 strength and D1 strength. And then I also want to make sure on a buy and sell signal that I've got short term and longer term. So D1 buy signal. And I'd also like to have strength versus SPY M5, M15, and D1. So now I've got a good mix of long-term and short-term variables that are going to tell me that the stock looks great long-term, but it also is performing on a shorter term basis. So when we look at these searches, it's real easy. All we have to do is look across the column and we know which stocks are the strongest. So let's go through and do that. And you can see how right now the market is testing that high. So yes, early pop, flush those guys out. Time, bid continues to strengthen. Now we have the breakout. I think we're going to have a nice market day today. NCLH, let's take a look at that, see what it's doing. So we've got strength on a daily basis and we have strength on a 5-minute basis. You can see all the green dots here. That's a nice little breakout here. Let's keep looking, see what else we've got. Tech stocks have been particularly strong. This is too choppy for me to want to trade. Big drop after earnings and a bounce right back. Look at this price action. I don't want anything to do with that. And right now, with the market making a high of the day, I want to see a stock that is also very close to its high of the day. This is a nice breakout here. You can see stock continuing to grind higher. See how quickly we're on that stock? Didn't take any time. IOT is the symbol. Take a look at the 5-minute, really nice grind higher, huge volume. Let's zoom out a little bit. That is a nice technical breakout right there. We had a breakout right in here, but because that trend line came in all the way here, it's now more than 5 ATRs out of range, so you won't see it, but that's a nice one. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm going to keep it zoomed out. We'll keep the trend lines going here. And I'm also going to remove these buy and sell signals, clean the chart up a little bit. D-Dog. All I'm doing is flipping. That's got some resistance it's hitting right up in here, although this is a nice breakout on TTD. You can see that horizontal resistance. You can see this longer term trend line. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah, that's a really nice trend line in there. These are good breakouts, and the stock's got plenty of room to run on the upside also. Let's take a look at that 5-minute chart. This is nice, and this is exactly the type of pattern that I'm talking about. So you come in and you look at TTD and you go, wow, that's a really nice stock. So let's set that alert on OneOSI. And if I had done that on this stock, there's your run up, there's your dip. It compresses, it confirms we have a higher low. The open was preserved. Volume is excellent. I'd like to see the volume pop up a little bit, but boom, I would be getting my alert right here. Look at that nice little entry point. Buy dips. That's what we want to do. How many times have you bought a stock right here, and then on that red bar you go, dang it, I should have waited. But when I wait, I miss a lot of these because they stack another one and stack another one and stack another one. If only there were a way for me to buy dips and to get an alert. Well, folks, now you have that. So I like this. I like TTD. I think that could be a really nice stock. So I'm going to post that in the chat room. And let's keep looking, see what else we've got cooking here. We're going to go back to that daily chart because I want to make sure we've got that strength on a daily basis. Lilly, Amazon actually got my attention. It has not been as strong as the other stocks. Gosh, I like that breakout. Yeah, Amazon's going to make the list right now. I just love this breakout. We've got a beautiful high minus trend line here. We have a longer term high minus trend line that dates back here. That is a beautiful breakout. So let's take a look at the price action, see what it's doing today. Gee, there's another one. Dip below zero, OneOSI. Now you're in here. That is a nice entry point for us. Now, as opposed to TTD, Amazon's such a thick stock. It's so heavily traded. Microsoft, Apple, Google, all of them. You can expect that there's going to be counter moves. So you're never going to have it go straight up without any massive news. Goes up, pulls back. It's a stair-step process. So the fact that it came in and took out the low of the day doesn't completely surprise me. TTD, on the other hand, is not as thick. I would prefer a stock that makes a higher low double bottom to one that comes into the gap a little bit like this, but I do really like Amazon on a longer term basis, and I like that longer term breakout. So right now, both of them look pretty good. This is nice. RCL, look at that strength. By the way, right there. If you come in here and you buy, you might have been a little bit early. That was still a good entry point if you bought the open, but anywhere in here, well, now you're still getting a chance to buy here, but you've just bought yourself an hour's worth of time because that gives you time to evaluate the market and to make sure that there is not a gap reversal off of a new relative high. Now you come in and you've got a great entry point right here. What I haven't mentioned to you is that you can right click on these searches and you can set alerts based on all of the stocks. Now, we're having to migrate to a larger server instance, so we're not offering that right now. We offered it last week. Very, very resource intensive. So for right now, you've got to manually type in the symbols, and that helps us reduce the load on our servers. But this is how you're going to be able to set these alerts. So you come in and you go, gosh, Green Royal Flush, that is such a good search. I click through these candidates, they all look good. So instead of having to go in and manually set these alerts, I'm just going to right click on the whole search list and set those alerts. One OSI less than 0, one OSI greater than 0. Let me know. And then I pick off these beautiful little entry points like that. RCL, I like this. You can see how it's right up on that next trend line, but this is a really nice breakout. Let's zoom out a little bit and get a longer term feel for it. Got another trend line up here. So these have not been breached yet, but they're within 5 ATR, so we display them so that you can get a feel for where your target profit levels might be and where the stock might find some resistance. But yes, I do like that. I like that breakout. Do I like it better than Amazon or TTD? Take another look at TTD because I'm going to be concluding this video pretty soon. And I really did like that breakout. It is kind of a chunky, choppy stock in here, but this is nice. These are nice longer term breakouts. Let's keep going. Let's see if we can find something better. PANW, really nice breakout there. It's getting through horizontal resistance right now as well. I'm looking for that stock that's just getting going, that you're going to be able to kind of sink your teeth into for a while. Tech stocks, a lot of them are starting to get a little bit frothy. Here's a bottom fisher. Retail has been very weak. This is a nice base. This is a decent breakout through the 100-day moving average and a trend line, but I wouldn't be as interested in that. That's a pretty significant breakout right there also. AFRM, let's take one more look at that. So you got a double bottom, almost a triple bottom here, but a higher low. You have a major long-term resistance level right here. You've got the 200-day moving average that the stock is trying to get through. Do we have any volume? Not really. Volume super important, so I'm going to take a pass on that. Technically, looks good, but the volume is not there. CCL, this is another cruise line. That looks pretty good. I'm just going to go into Pop Bull, and then if I can't find anything that I like there, now I'm just going to visually go through and see where I've got the most green dots. Makes the process a lot easier. This is one that I highlighted earlier, IoT. I do like that breakout. Not a super well-known stock. A nice technical breakout post earnings though. I like this one today. I think this one today could work out really well. Big volume. So here you definitely want that 1 OSI below because you'd like to see it retrace a little bit, give you a decent entry point, and then it takes off. But this is some strong price action right here. So yeah, I like that one. I think I'm going to go with Amazon. Amazon has been, and here you can see lots of green dots. So let's take a look at RJF. Big gap up, trying to get through the high of the week. Take a look at the daily chart. We still have some resistance in here. So even though it looks good shorter term, I think we can find better. Maybe go into breakout ×2, see what we've got here. These stocks, we know these searches are based on our trend lines, our automated trend lines, which are super, super helpful. And so now we can also search for these breakouts. APO, let's take a look at APO. Multiple breakouts there, got the 100-day moving average. This is all really decent looking stuff. The stock has got some nice momentum. AZUL, take one more look at that. I like that AZUL. It's got a nice little trend line here that was breached earlier. That just looks like a really good stock to me. Let's take a look at that 5-minute chart, see if it's recovering. It's been able to hold that opening gap. So I'm going to give you a couple of longs that I really like. I like AZUL. I think that one's going to perform well. The post-earnings reaction on IoT, I've shown you that one. Take a look at that one more time. I like that. I would just be waiting for a pullback. You don't want more than half of this to be given back. So you want half of this gain to be preserved, and then it can take its next leg higher. The closer it stays to the high, the better, because it tells you that buyers are still engaged. I like Amazon, AMZN. I like that stock, and I like TTD. I've given you 4 stocks that I think are going to perform well, so I'm going to have to review all of them on the next video, which will be Sunday night. I'm going to do a video. I want to stay on that schedule. Let's see how these stocks perform during the course of the day today. So here's what we're going to be watching for on all 4 of these stocks. And here is your rule base, and here's how we're going to be evaluating the trades. We want to see one OSI below 0, and then we want to try and enter when one OSI goes above 0. We're only going to have Friday's data to look at when I do the video on Sunday. Let's see how these stocks fare. I think they're still going to do well next week. Look at the market. Got this bullish cross right in here. Now, one OSI, or excuse me, one OP, our indicator did not go below 0. I would normally want to see a trough below 0 and then continuation, but we were able to preserve largely the opening price today. Then buyers came right in, and we took out the high of the day. I believe we're going to continue to float higher. We've got the backdrop that we need. Overseas market strong, debt ceiling passed. All of that is good news. Strong job growth, nice breakout, clean breakout. Look for a gradual grind higher. The big concern today is volume. We don't have a lot of volume. So now that the path has been set, we're probably going to just grind higher on very light volume. Automated trend lines, awesome. And we're searching for them. They help us set our target profits. We can see those breakouts clearly. We have all the variables that we can add to the tables to visually be able to see exactly where the strength and where the weakness is across multiple time frames without having to flip charts. And we can set alerts that make it very easy for us to buy dips on the very strongest stocks. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. We'll see you Sunday night. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I'm Pete Stolzers, and I'm going to keep the trade ideas coming along with lots of education, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and please turn on your notifications so that you never miss another trade. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. I've loaded 2 other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.